the first question is, what does it mean to be a human?
To be a human.
Human. What is it? Who are we?
I think that is a very old question.
Yeah. I want to ask old questions.
It is, I think all very normal people has no problem with this question. But I think philosophers always had a big problem with this question. But some things is very interesting, very simple things are interesting. We are the only beings. They have a experience of their own situation. No animal, if you have a gorilla or an orangutan sitting somewhere looking at the stars, they can, or in the landscape, they really don't know who is looking, who feels this wonderful view. Perhaps they have a nice feeling, but they don't know who is it, who is this who have this feeling.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very great difference. The most interesting difference ever.
Yeah. And in which consists this difference?
That you know, here is someone who has this experience. I can see this. I hear you talk. A gorilla has no idea about who hear someone talk. He can hear you talk, but he don't know from himself. I hear him. Not at all. It's impossible. There is nothing, there is no instance in him who can say, I listen to him. The boss is calling me. The boss is calling, I go there, but I have no idea who is following the boss. He is only following the boss. This is the truth about an animal. No one except of us can see this car, these flowers, the clouds, and think about them, how they are. Not if it will be rain. Animals can do that. They feel rain or not, tomorrow or in 2 hours, better than we. But they cannot see the distance between the clouds, if it is like something or not. They can't. They have no idea about how they look, only they are. But we feel when the clouds is there, then the trees look like this. In the morning, they looked in another way. I felt something else about it. If you look at a flower or something else, and a human being, especially the nature, then it is different as when you don't look at it. No one else is looking. This grass, it looks like that, moving in the wind. No bee, no butterfly, no dog, no cat, no one. Look at this grass and feel how it moves. And have a kind of a, like, how they do, né?
And what do you feel if you are staring into grass?
Only we are doing that. Without us, without human beings, the world is dead. Totally dead. Some people think if human beings were gone, then the nature would be wonderful. But the truth is, when the human beings would be, all of us destroyed, I think 200-300 years, the whole earth would be like a desert.
Really?
Yes.
For
Without human beings, a lot of things wouldn't be destroyed, of course, but nothing could go on alive. Nothing. Without humans, world is without meaning.
So this capacity of thinking about what you are seeing is that thing which makes life?
Yeah, it is very important, but it is only ein Zeichen. Yeah, that's something else. We are this. We are part of this all. We are not a kind of guests. We are really a part of this earth. A real part. When I look at the grass, in one way I look at myself. And therefore it is like that. We are this world. We are not a kind of guest looking at the world. And that means the world can see itself.
Through us?
Yes.
Okay.
He can.
Yeah.
It is a kind of, the spiritual world use us to be aware of himself. That's me. That's human being. And that is very, very important. That make us responsible for very, very much more than we think.
Like what?
Everything. At least that anything can grow. We know that we are responsible for wars, of course. There are, in our time, less and less good things we are responsible for. More and more bad things that will go on very, very long. That is of course a problem, that we are responsible for more and more bad things and less good things. But we try to, of course.
And where do bad things come from? Where do bad things come from? Bad things, the evil. Where does it come from?
From us, from us. It's our thing. It's not someone else. There is, of course, just in anthroposophy, and so we talk about, or spiritual knowledge, we talk about beings, evil, but human being can stop them, can ask them, do your work somewhere else, not with me, but we do, and that's we are responsible. We could leave it. We could think over what are we doing. Some of us do. Most of us not very much.
Yeah, but are we the creators of evil, or we are used by these beings and we let them do their job?
We could be more and more creators of the change. When you think we are all parts of this earth, this existence, then of course we are a part of the Creator. And we can know more and more about it. It is very uncomfortable. I think that's the reason why we try to find there is other reasons. because if we are the only reason, it would be very uncomfortable for us.
But we are.
Yeah, that we are guilty.
Yeah, but then during intuitive pedagogy, we learn that the errors and faults and mistakes are okay.
Yeah.
And we learn how not to be guilty. So, which is
Yeah.
the relation of this kind of mistakes and...
Yeah, you know, if we accept our mistakes because we are not very perfect, that is good, because it is the truth. And that is very interesting that we all know our great financial ideas and things are very bad. We know they don't work. I think everyone knows they will not work, and we go on with them, knowing they are wrong. And that is very interesting.
Yeah, for me too.
And we will go on like this, I think, very long. But it could take very long. We have a lot of time to change.
So you are not afraid of some short-term
No.
apocalypse
but
kind of stuff?
I like an American philosopher, a modern one. I don't know his name anymore. He said, the problem is for our culture, to our civilization, to step out with honor, with a kind of generous honestness. And not like, no, I don't want to go, I will stay, let me stay, please don't kill me. That is, I think it will be like that. But it would be very nice if our civilization would say, okay, we leave. I hope it will not be too bad what we did.
There is something bigger than the culture of our civilization. And this bigger thing is a human, on the self. So despite the civilization will fall, some kind of consciousness will remain.
Yeah, we can more and more identify with a kind of a big human being, a real human being. And I think we will. I think the more we discover how it really is, the more at any far time a civilization will appear that is more clear about what is this real human being like.
And can we discover it now? Can we discover it now?
I think, yes.
Everybody can. How?
We have to educate our own spirit, our soul, and try to be less and less disturbed from the outside. If you really look at the existence, how we are living on this earth, there is a point where every man or woman comes to a kind of an end. It doesn't answer. Who am I? What is this? Your question. What is a human being? It is not this. It is what happens with us when we die and we are alive. We are so many. This question, you cannot find any answer. You cannot read books. You try to be Buddhist, you can try to be Christian, you can try to be perhaps Allah can help. No, nothing helps. That's the reason for the religions. They say, okay, leave it to Allah, God. Kabbalah, something, Christ. And we have to. But I think the religions are all now at the end. One of the most beautiful religions, Buddhism, now starts to do very bad things. Burma. Now Buddhists are killing other people because there are no Buddhists. And I think, good. This beautiful religion is doing to end. It's over.
Yeah.
Religions are over.
Okay.
We have to look for something else.
Yeah. You have mentioned a soul.
Yeah.
And in the last 200 years, we stopped talking about souls for the Christianity ideology. So now I feel that it's time to restore this notion of soul.
Yeah.
What can you talk?
That will always go in such waves that we talk about our soul or our spiritual life, that we are something more than a piece of flesh, and then it will go away again, and it will come again. I think a lot of such waves will come.
Yeah, but what's the soul? How does it work? How does it behave? What does it mean to be a soul, or to have a soul?
The power that makes us experience ourselves in another way than an orangutan or a very clever chimpanzee. This is something we call me, I. Some languages have a word, and instead of I, they say mine, my. But there is always something, they mean something what an animal cannot mean about himself. That is very interesting. There are, this was growing. Now it's a mineral. Yes, that's the same. It is now, I think, not growing anymore. But this is growing. The earth or a stone is not growing. There are very, very interesting examples of crystals. They are growing. Very, very slow, but they grow in very special circumstances, in caves. That is very interesting. It shows that also mineral could have a kind of life. A kind of life. But normally it's very, very little or nothing. We don't feel. If someone is cracking a stone, you have no feeling. It's a kind of terrible thing. No. And then comes the next. Things that are growing. There are people who feel bad when you do like this. Yeah? When it is totally useless, perhaps there is something bad. But if you can look a little bit behind, at the same time, now not. But if I pick a flower, yes, and look at it. At the same time, I take it, there is a kind of open, something is going free, it was kept before. Here, you have to grow like this and this and this. Now, and if you can see it, it's very nice. It's like a, it's very double. Someone who cannot see this can think, oh, the poor flower. But a flower cannot be poor.
Really?
This power, I don't need to bury this flower. I can do like this. It's made, it's already done. It's not a pity. But it is a little bit sad that we don't know that there is something happening when we take a flower. Something is become lost or like this, no? Like this. But we can misuse it, of course. And sell it for $100 and make and then drink it. Then, no. That's pity. Of course. We can misuse everything. That's also special for the human being. We can misuse everything. It is our independence.
Or freedom?
Yeah. Animals have to do like God made them do. They do it. It can be terrible perhaps, or difficult or painful also for them, but they have to. If their circumstances change, perhaps they have to die. If our circumstances change, we change and create a new circumstance. And if we do it very skillful, just as we need, without taking care of all this, then we create ourselves back to animals. Then we create a circumstance where we can live like worms in the earth, like apes in the trees, like butterflies in the air, and we create a circumstance where we can live like that. Then we are a new kind of conscious animals. I hope we don't do. And that has to do that we are responsible. We have to take care of everything. I think we will, because if we don't take care of something, it will go backwards more and more. You know, in Europe there are already parts in Europe, I don't know, but there are more than 1 or 2 quadrat kilometer desert produced every year, growing desert in Europe every year. Also, that means in so and so many years, perhaps 200, less. There is nothing there anymore. We have nothing to eat anymore.
Yeah.
We will start to kill each other because of food.
Yeah. For me, there is a problem with the word responsibility. What does it mean? Because if I listen this answer about the soul, I can imagine in my version of understanding the soul, it's a kind of story. It's a kind of story of knowing the world.
You feel sorry. We should feel something else. We should feel inspiration to do something. We should, you speak about soul. We should speak about the spirit. Our, what is in German is Geist.
Duch, yeah.
The spirit is necessary that we feel we are something else. We are not only this. we are creators of our own situation, and we must be more and more conscious about our spiritual being in every one of us. We are something more than this. And that is so, and more than the soul, more as our sorrow about how bad we are. We must also be conscious about which enormous power is there if we could feel this spirit in ourselves, in each other. Something would happen, and it happens, but too little and too slow, I think, is my meaning about it. But we have a lot of time, and we can hope for it. I think that's the most important thing, that we can feel together there is spiritual life, and we need to feel it together. Then we can do something else as only have sorrow about how bad we are, how helpless we are. That means our will is a little bit lame. Or not a little bit, it's nearly total lame. And sometimes you can see where is our will not lame. Mother Teresa, her will was not lame. Very interesting. You can speak with anyone. Mother Teresa, interesting person, strong. Did she something important for the world? For me, yes, but nothing special. She did a very funny thing. She said, I help first the worst, who is nearly dead. I help him first. That was a rule for her. Seems to be not very practical, but it is very strong. She was full of this, and I think millions of people have a kind of feeling this woman was great. She was really great. When people came and said, I like your work, I want to give you 10 millions, I am rich. And she said really, no thanks, you can come and help me. I need you, I don't need your money. She really made like this. She took hundreds of millions of dollars. Please, no thanks, I need you. That is so strong. It is so strong. It's wonderful. And for the spiritual world, it means much more than all these millions. And this should be, many people should think like that, feel it is like that. But most of us think, okay, I can understand what you say, but all these millions, we could feed a lot of poor children and so on. You see, we start to then to, and that is true. Hundreds of millions, we could of course feed a lot of children. But the reality is, they didn't ask, how can I feed 1 million children? I asked, Mother Teresa, take my millions. That was the thing. And she said, no, come. She didn't say, give it to the children. Yes, I think she said sometimes, but he didn't like to. Then I lose them. If I give them to Mother Teresa, it will be in newspaper. She became, but if I save 10,000 children, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay, right now a lot of people is thinking about spiritual life like something which is far, far away. It's like in some high point out there. And but if we are part of this and we are completely fundamental for life, the spiritual life, the spirit, is inside ourselves.
Yeah, we are spirits.
We are spirits, yeah.
We are spirits, and we are spirits living in such a house.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable, I think not very useful, but there is something, but there is an interesting idea about it. The Vorsehung.
I don't know.
There's this, yeah. It made us uncomfortable, incomplete, just because of that. Otherwise we would stay like this and feel well. Now it doesn't work, and we have to feel bad or good or do something. Only when we feel I am a spirit among spirits and we could do things together, then I can feel a kind of deep, like a kind of comes together. As long as I say, no, I don't know, yeah, perhaps we are spirits, but so, no, we can try. It is not enough. There's no doubt about it. We are spirits. And we can do lots. And it means more. Mother Teresa, that he said, no, I don't need your money, I need you. That is real spirit. She knew it is like that. She felt it is like that. No question. When people ask me, I would have courage to say, no, I need you. And then they would say, but you've become 10 millions. No, 100,000 millions of dollars. Then I could perhaps save very many children. And I couldn't stay against this 100 millions of dollars. Then I think, then I have more money than all other people, and then I could rule the world and do good things. He cannot, I can. No? Yeah, you see, we are like that. It will take long. And therefore, such people like Mother Teresa are so wonderful to think over. She was also very naive. People could betray her very easily. But she was so devout and so simple. It was very, very, very impressive. Oh, there's a long thing about human being. You asked such a bad question.
Yeah. I know. I know. Okay, so maybe if we are spirits and not humans, and we came to the earth to have these kind of problems, like money, flesh, and some incapacities which makes us imperfect. And this is the way how the spirit came more powerful. Is it the training of power or something? Or what does it mean? Why do we have problems?
When we discover that we should take care of ourselves, of this whole, and we notice we cannot do this very well, we must start to do so. I can only tell about myself and the people who try to do something. No one asked me if I need $100,000. I don't know what I would have done. No idea. I am afraid I would say yes. That's a kind of, and that is it's also good, because that is a kind of self-knowledge. I know about myself. There is a limit where I am blind, I think. behind this limit I can do something, and we created together this idea with the intuitive pedagogy, which was name. It's only a name. We don't like it anymore. I would like to say intuition in pedagogy, intuition in art, intuition in science, intuition
In life.
here and there. Not intuitive pedagogy is already like a thing, as if it is there or not. Am I such one or am I something else? That's no good. But intuition is an interesting concept. Normally it is very simple, something what is perhaps just the right, but I don't know why. But we talk about it in another sense, like it is something you can learn. You can learn to discover yourself in every moment. Also very uncomfortable and difficult moments, you can be aware of your own situation and do something. I could say also intuition is a kind of conscious instinct. You can of course read about it by Rudolf Steiner. He talks of intuition in a very special way. It is a very high level of being aware of one's life. He talks about imagination, inspiration, intuition. Imagination is when I can transform this Wahrnehmung
Toto vnímání.
as an image where I can see myself act in like a picture. Therefore he called it imagination. When you can, but that means you must put this with your eyes away. If you really have a sense for imagination, you have to put this away. I don't see you, I see something else. Next, when I can put this away, then I can talk about, that's the spiritual knowledge, Geisteswissenschaft. As if I could talk or hear them. Not an image, but someone talks. I can understand it. I can communicate. With an image I can't communicate. I can only be in it. I can feel it. And now I can correspond. I can try to understand as if I hear someone talk. Therefore this word inspiration is not the same what Beethoven had. It was something like that. That is the all day long version, inspiration. I feel inspired. That's okay, but that's something else. In the sense of spiritual knowledge, it is a real communication, conscious one, with something else, a spiritual world. And then is intuition. And that's of course very, very much. That means my life itself is total connected with this spiritual world. My life is yes to the spiritual world. I think Mother Teresa, her life was very close to intuition. Therefore she feels totally sure. What I do is like this. That's of course too much. That's not the meaning of intuitive pedagogy. That's too special. But it is something in this direction to feel, not to take a difficult situation. It's difficult. No, it is. I go into it like to anything. I look at my toes. My chief said, go away. That's the same, it's no problem. I look at my toe, or my chef said, go away, you have no salary anymore. Okay, look at my toe, he says this, it's no different. If I am in intuitive life, more or less, then I say yes to things, not no. When I say this is difficult, that is a kind of no. When I say this is a problem, that's a kind of no. But when I say yes, 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 and at least I have no chance anymore, but I still say yes, okay. What is about it? That's my life, it's like this. And that doesn't mean I do like this and wait for everything. No, I'm full of action. But what happens? It's a clear result of my deed. I do this, and then this happens. If I do like this, it does so. If I do like this, it does so. If I do like this, it's like that. And so it is. And if I am very careful, I only do so. I can do very much more, but then the risk is very strong that it comes on your head or something happens. And therefore, intuition can be very much or a little bit, and we can learn it, and we can learn to like it, to trust this yes. I am leading my life. I do like this, that happens, has to do with me. It's about ourselves. There's no, I cannot say it was he, it was that, it was that. My mother was bad to me. My mother that didn't love me. Therefore it's so bad. Okay, I believe it. Your mother, I'm sure she didn't love you. But it doesn't help. That's so.
Yeah, for me the most of the intuitive games are about two different movements.
Yeah,
and there is like movement inside out to outside, which consists of something we can do.
All these games or exercises are about being aware of oneself.
Yeah, but there is another part of being aware of outside of the others.
Sometimes.
Of the spirit, of the thing which is not mine, of the bigger world.
I don't know. It's enough to discover my own situation. You saw what happened. We should do Parabam. Was you there when we did?
Yeah, I was.
This
I
exercise.
Was, yeah.
And we all knew what we should do, but we didn't. That's enough to discover. And when we exercise until this is possible, and we can say, I know exactly what I am doing with my limbs. That is a little step just in the right direction. A little clear step. And then I will know how to go on. And I can make it more and more difficult, and I can at least also go inside and try to do such exercises, to educate myself, to be here and know what I want to do and really do it. And that is about.
Yeah, but we are living our lives usually without knowing what we are doing.
Yeah, I don't know.
We are living the life without knowing, without understanding what's happening. Usually.
Yes, I
And it's-
think everybody could understand what we tried to do. Ta-da-dum. There's no problem. Why shall you start with Mother Teresa? We cannot. It's impossible. But we can start parabam. It's very little and very nice because it's possible. And if we think it's not very interesting, okay, then we don't start at all. It is like that. It's very simple. Oh, for me, there are so many such exercises we can do. They are simple enough. Peter do such wonderful things here. Very, very good. They are always also not only about skill, but about the community life, but about how to feel together. It is so nice. It's so good, and it comes always new things. And to feel joy when we do these things, and we learn without feeling bad. That is really good.
Yeah, and for me, the community, the theme of cooperation and joy together, in joy together, means something bigger than myself.
Of course.
It's something a little
but
bit
we
different.
must be careful. We must be careful when we think we are nothing. The community is so important. It is no different between me and the community life. Community life is something what is there always. Just now, here, you can see it. Why are we not alone? She is here because of the camera. He too, perhaps. And she perhaps because of the translation. But she, why is she here?
Because she came here.
Perhaps she is interested. Eh? Oh, there, look, that's wonderful. And this is a kind of a self-evident, totally naturally, we are together. It is like that. And we are. We must not create it. As long as we try to create community life, it will not work. It does also not work. But that's not a problem. Of course it doesn't work. But human beings always again and again discover we are together. Why doesn't it work? Because so many things are wrong. And we must start to change them. Then we will discover that we are really together. And after many hundred years, we will also discover something about money and values and so that we have to think in another way about it. We have to be sure to know. We have to know what time it is now. I cannot say, I think it is, or I believe 6:30. That has no use. Have someone I want, then I know. It is. Here I know. Here I feel. Here I can't know. It is not true that women's feelings are a kind of knowledge. That's not true. It's interesting, but this is belief. Here I can believe. Here I should never believe. I must know, or say I don't know. Here I believe. Like this. And here in my will I have hope. And hope is something very interesting, especially when we hope together. That is future. Not what I know, what I don't know. I don't hope for a lot of money. Pure hope. that is very weak today. Yeah. Also, I think Steiner said at any time, I am not sure, but I think he said, gemeinsam erlebte Hoffnung.
Jako společně zažívaná naděje.
Verändert die Welt.
Změní svět, nebo mění svět.
Such a long way to a society founded on trust instead of mistrust. Yeah, and so this possibility, everyone has this possibility in some moments to do the right. Or to try. Steiner also tried. Nearly nothing worked. Nearly nothing. He went on and on and on until he died. It seems to be true that he was killed with poison. But he tried and tried and tried until it didn't work anymore. I met an old man who met Steiner very late. He was ill already. And he said, because many young people now try to find out what happened with Steiner. It is interesting, of course. Is it really true that he was killed and such ideas? And he said, I heard Steiner say, please don't make a criminal story out of my dying. Please don't make a jurist problem. Be silent. Let it be. It's also interesting, eh? It is not interesting to make who did it or like that. No. Go on. Try to be healthy in your will and know what you should do. Don't try to go backwards and see who is guilty, who could have done in another way. No, you can do in another way, perhaps. Mother Teresa. Yeah. No, you come. Don't give money. Come. If you give money, that's like. Courage than we have. And many young people have more courage. But they are a little bit too dependent on us because of education and civilization, and they are a little bit helpless. Steiner told the young people to have a Janus face, to have a face here too. You have to do it. The old people can't help you. You have to help yourself. A hard thing. But he already, Steiner, so early, 1923, 22, said to young people, you must do it yourself. The old people, they will not help you. And to see seeds of light in difficulties and bad things. That is interesting. And young people seems to have this possibility more than the old generation, to look at difficult like something interesting to put by side and go on. Nice things. I just, before I just couldn't really use them. That's an anger. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's enough?
It's completely enough.
Oh, good.
Good job.
For me it's enough.
Yeah, for me too.
For me it's too much.
It will be the dinner, no? So
Yeah, let's go eat.
in 10 minutes. Yeah? We can eat.
Yeah, that's nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.